Welcome to our panel debate today. We are going to be discussing whether or not technology should be limited for teenagers. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Bridget Fowler. My teammates include Tori Fowler, who will be doing our main points, Holly Miller, who will be defending those points, Catherine Klink, who will be rebuttaling, and Ivy Shelton, who will do our conclusion. While most teenagers, 60%, spend on average 20 hours per week in front of the television and computer screens. A third spend closer to 40 hours per week, and about 7% are exposed to more than 50 hours of screen time per week, according to a study presented at the American Heart Association. As we can clearly see, technology is an overwhelming distraction in adolescents' lives. The use of cell phones, television, internet, and video games should be limited for juveniles. Take social media for an example. Emily Marabella, a 14-year-old teenage girl who thought she had met the perfect quote-unquote boyfriend on Facebook, had actually been talking to another teenage girl the whole time. What teens do not realize is that they don't really know who they could be talking to on the internet, and this could lead to potential dangers such as sexual abuse or even death. The negative impact of social media isn't the only time-consuming issue. The time adolescents spend watching television could be spent doing more productive activities. Again, in average, teens watch about 34 hours of television per week. This leads to less study time for students, which can potentially lower their overall GPA and affect their future. Spending excessive time in front of this distractor also changes their work ethics and their behavior. Aggression behavior is very common in teens that not only watch TV, but also spend an exaggerated time playing violent video games. It is common for U.S. children and adolescents to play more than 20 hours per week, and it is not uncommon for males to play 40 hours or more per week. But it's not just video games. Any sort of overwhelming obsession, social media or television, as I mentioned earlier, is a cause for concern. Even the Bible makes it clear that what we put into our minds is what will come out. We are allotted a set number of days on earth, Psalm 139:16. Time wasted is time lost forever. In light of that truth, we need to pray as Moses did. Teach us the number of days, Psalm 90:12. We need to be aware of the brevity of this life so that we make the most of it for God's glory. Obviously, we need downtime on occasion to rest, but activities that encourage the habit of vegging or that promote a compulsive behavior should be monitored closely, if not avoided altogether.
Hello, I'm Cody Donaldson, and I will be introducing our topic. And Stephanie is going to be doing our main points. Austin will be doing our rebuttal, and Perla will be doing something. What will limiting internet, television, video games, and cell phone usage in adolescence accomplish? The answer to this is absolutely nothing, because technologies such as these are a part of our daily lives in these times. An example of this is that internet, cell phones, and even in some cases video games, can help us communicate with our friends, family that we might not otherwise be able to communicate with. In fact, industries such as Nintendo and Microsoft have invented the use of motion-sensitive technology to allow families or even friends to play physically active games like Wii Sports or Wii Fit. This can also provide entertainment and physical activity for not just one but the whole family. Then there is television, which can help us know what is going on around the country and even the world. And you know all those cartoons the younger population watch? They actually teach children morals. An example of this is Dora the Explorer and the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. The third and final reason we should not limit technology is that even the younger people can make advancements in the technological world. An example of this is Thomas Suarez, the sixth grader who made the widely popular app Angry Birds. Another example is Robert Ney, the 15-year-old who made the app Bubble Ball, which beat out Angry Birds at the top spot on the App Store. What would you do if these types of technologies were limited to your life? Twiddle your thumbs? Watch oh, wait, never mind.
As Bridget mentioned earlier, technology is a major problem in today's adolescent world. One of the major problems is social media and the dangers that go along with it. 25% of teens have created a profile with a false identity on a social networking site. As referenced earlier, Emily Marabella is a victim of another teen's fake account. This could have led to a possible harmful situation and affected her future entirely. Not only can false identity accounts lead to probable danger, so can cyberbullying. 43% of teens have been victimized of cyberbullying in the last year. Cyberbullying is defined as using the internet, cell phones, or other technology to send or post texts or images intended to hurt or embarrass another person. This has been a worldwide crisis for adolescents ranging from the ages of 8 to 18. They do not seem to be aware of the long-term personal havoc they could create with the click of a button. If you are not in the same place as the person, it feels less personal. It is easier to do mean things. It is also simulated behavior. You can be risky and do riskier things in the digital context. Parents generally have little idea about what their children are up to. A study done at the University of Washington showed that 54% of teens demonstrated risky behavior online. Also, 70% of adolescents hide their online behavior from their parents. Another issue is television. Adolescents spend over 20% of waking hours watching television. Recent studies have shown that teens who watch more television get worse grades as a result of not spending enough time on their homework or studying for tests. Not only does excessive television affect adolescents' performance in school, but it also affects their behavior by making them more aggressive. Television violence causes children and teens to become less caring, to lose their inhibitions, to become less sensitive, and also may cause violent and aggressive behavior. The more television violence viewed by an adolescent, the more aggressive the adolescent is because they are still very impressionable. It is especially important to understand this because adolescence is a time when the brain is still changing and developing, particularly in the parts of the brain that control emotions, emotional behavior, and responses to external events. Another technological epidemic is video games. One of the most common negative effects of video games is that teens are not getting enough physical activity. The more time someone spends playing video games, the less time they are spending doing more productive activities. With the increasing amount of obesity found in today's youth, the fear about the lack of physical activity is reasonable. Also, if an adolescent is spending too much time playing video games, they are not interacting with their peers. This lack of interaction can increase a child's likelihood of developing a social disorder. Not only can video games decrease physical activity and social interaction, but it can also lead to increased aggression. A lot of the top-selling video games consist of fighting and killing. This violence has been proven to result in an increase in aggressive behavior. Another cause for this increase in aggressive behavior is the fact that in these video games, the players are rewarded for their violent behaviors. Oftentimes, when adolescents are rewarded for doing something, the chances of that child repeating the act that they were rewarded for increases. Not only does it cause them to become more aggressive, but it can also desensitize them. The violence that exists in video games can alter a teen's perception on what is an acceptable way to handle problems. Therefore, they may resort to violence and think it is okay, and not really care about the consequences. Also, a very popular teaching method for children and teens throughout schools is to repeat information. Therefore, children learn better when information or actions are repeated more than once. With the repeated violent actions that adolescents partake in throughout video games, a concern about resulting aggressive behavior is understandable.
There are many things that make people succeed in life. Some few things that make adolescents be good at what they are is due to the good use of technology they have, like the TV, computer, and many more sources. Now, why do some people believe that all of these uses are bad to our kids these days and that the use of technology should be limited for them? Have they not seen how beneficial our products have been to us as the years go by? Well, how have these sources been successful to us? You may be asking yourself. I am here to explain 3 main points. First, how has communication been improved by the use of technology and how it benefits us? Second, how have advancements in technology helped us nowadays? And my third point is, how is it a part of our daily life? My first point, how has communication been improved by the use of technology and how it benefits us? It is said that the Persians were the first to develop the use of postal system around the BCs. This would give people the opportunity of having their messages delivered to whomever they wanted to have communication with. The only problem about this was that it would take days for the message to be delivered. As the years passed, no one really had the time to stop and write a letter, and they have to wait forever for the response. In 1993, the solution to the problem was found: the electronic mail, or the email. Shortly after, social media came in hand. For example, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and many more. as a way to socialize with other teenagers or loved ones around the world, and less than what you can count to 10. Also, the telephone and cell phone were created. Very useful devices that can be used for almost everything, even as lifesavers. Imagine a kid all alone at home and an accident happens. He is trained to call 911 so they can come and rescue him from any danger. This brings me to my second point. How have advancements in technology helped us nowadays? Imagine yourself on an isolated island. It is hot and you have no air conditioning. You want to know what is going around the world and hopefully get entertained, but you can't because there is no TV. And most important, you need a device in which you can call for help, but there is no way you are going to have a phone. Now, imagine yourself in this position. How would you feel? It is obvious that we all cannot live without the use of technology. It is true. In the early ages, people would live a shorter life due to their low knowledge of medical field and, well, almost no technology. Now in the 21st century, it has been a total different story. Now that technology has been a great help by making it easy for doctors to find out about drugs that can help the ill, also now teenagers can live healthier as well. There are now helpful sources teens can use to get a wealthy job and help out maybe in medical field. They can go into the internet and find out how they can be active and eat appropriate meals for a healthier life and a higher chance of living longer. Not only can teens find out more about being healthy on the web, there are many more sources they can use that are really easy to use on a daily basis. This takes me to my last point. How is technology part of our daily life? Whenever you wake up, well, you may not know it, but the first thing that you do is use technology whenever you wake up, listening to that horrible sound of an alarm clock. Technology is a use of our daily routine. When you wake up with technology, you go through your day with technology, and you go to bed using technology. The television was invented for us to be entertained and informed. But now there are many things going on in this world that now it is hardly possible for someone to sit down and read their newspapers. Now it can be viewed on your phone wherever you like. Technology is everywhere, and it is very easy to be found. Whenever someone says, I think the use of technology should be lowered for teenagers, does that mean that teens will not be able to use a camera? Will they not be able to drive their cars? Not all technology is bad. It just depends on how teens want to see it and how their parents and grown-ups around them let them use it.
Throughout our lives, we have been taught that technology has been to further our intellectual pursuits. Now, if this is true, why would you be so adamant about taking such vulnerable resources away from adolescents? The internet is a very vast and useful source at times. Now, there are, of course, pornographic sites and all that, but there are blockages. It's not just open to everyone. Video games are also depending on parents. It's really the parent's choice to give the child the video game. Cell phones are a big one too, because just without them, if you would go to a friend's house and you would need to call, if they don't have a landline, you would need to call your parents or something like that. They also could be used for emergencies. There are new cell phones that have parental access features specifically designed for younger children, so it's all monitored and all that. And going back onto the video games, yes, they are violent, but like I said, it depends on how the parents would teach their kids to learn, and it's really just up to the parents. And if they would want a rated game, then it's their choice to give their son or daughter that. And so some games, they improve kids' hand-eye coordination and problem-solving skills. Games that require kids to actually move or manipulate the game through their own physical movement can get secondary or sedentary kids moving, though not as much as they could actually outside. But still, they're actually getting movement in playing video games.
As Cody mentioned earlier, the communication. Yes, it does help and it makes it easier, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., it's addictive. Communication, yes, like I said earlier, it makes it easier, but 49% of teenagers say that their favorite way to communicate is actually face-to-face instead of through a computer screen. And you also mentioned about the emergency thing. Yes, it's always a good idea to have like your cell phone or whatever with you, but it can also cause a distraction. Like driving, for example, you'd be more tempted to text or talk on the phone, which could potentially cause an accident. If you must use your cell phone, you could always like pull over and respond to the text message or phone call. It's not that we're wanting to limit it or get rid of it altogether. Just keep it under control. Technology is completely useful, but in different ways. 46% of teens admit to texting and driving. And then the point you said about the violent behavior in video games. Video games have violence in them, yes. Over 85% of video games actually are violent. Violent actions can even cross an adolescent's mind within just 20 minutes of playing a video game. And then like the helps in everyday life, you could take like the homework. It doesn't always have to help with everything. Just because you're so used to the spell check on your cell phone or the autocorrects, you don't always need it in your everyday life. Take Albert Einstein for an example. He's a worldwide famous scientist, and he didn't even have all of the technology that we have today to make his life useful.
Okay, so Perla mentioned that cameras and cars are going to be limited, but that was not in our topic. We're talking about technology being video games, internet, television, cell phones, not cars and cameras.
Actually, our topic is about technology in a broad general...
Actually, it says, should playing video games, using the internet, watching television, using cell phones be limited for adolescents? That's our topic that we're talking about, not cameras and broad technology in general.
All right. Well, see, with cars...
But cars aren't on our topic, so that shouldn't have even been in the points. And video games, they are really violent. I know they make you active. Some of them do, but we're not trying to limit the active video games. We're trying to limit the violent one, because researchers found that those who played violent video games showed less activity in areas that involved emotions, attention, inhibition of our impulses. So it makes you more aggressive. It makes you more violent. There's been studies that show that that's what it does.
And there's also been studies that not just teens and adolescents play violent video games. Actually, the majority of the population, generally young adults to middle-aged people, actually play more of the more mature video games than actual adolescents.
One has been told that adolescents do buy mature video games, and they shouldn't even be allowed to in the first place because it's 17 plus, and we're talking about like teenagers that are 8 to 16 that actually buy the games, and they shouldn't be playing them in the first place.
They're actually not the people who buy them.
They are, because it said that they're the ones who go in the store and they are being sold to.
Being sold to with the permission of their parents.
Not with the permission.
It's a requirement
the parents
by
will
state
let
law.
them, but why do you think they let them? Because all the adolescents do is force them to buy the games, because it ruins relationships and it makes the relationships in families not like as strong. Because if I'm fighting with my mom, well, I want a video game, I want you to buy me a video game, if not, I'm going to be mad at you. So that's why they have to buy the video games, but we want to limit them. I mean, they could play the video games, but not as much as they do, because it is making them more aggressive.
I agree to an extent. The whole we're forcing parents. We can't really force the parents. They're the ones almost complete control of us. They control our daily lives in the sense of the way we grow. The way they teach us as we grow up is their choice. If they want to let us play those kinds of games, it's their choice.
It's not their choice because they're trying to limit it, but obviously you're yourself and you're going to want to do what you want to do. You're not going to let your parents control you just because they're your parents.
In some cases, yes, most teens actually do try to defy their parents, but this isn't about defying our parents for video games. This is about...
No, it's about the parents trying to limit the technology.
Right. They already have that right. And the fact that most parents allow their...
In addition to what my group members have already explained to you, I would like to add a few things in an attempt to further our argument. Today, 8 to 18-year-olds devote an average 7 hours and 38 minutes to using entertainment media across a typical day. That's more than 53 hours a week. This statistic clearly shows us that the use of entertainment media by adolescents should be drastically decreased. Teens tend to waste their time on television, video games, or social media when they should be more focused towards their grades and family. There is no need wasting your time in life on things that do not ideally pose a positive impact on your future. As discussed earlier, video games, television, and cell phones can pose dangerous and negative effects on adolescents, which is why the amount of time spent on these devices should be decreased. 51% of teens go online daily. The amount of time teens spend on the internet and video games could cause damages on teenagers' brains and have been known for their brains to be wasting away. Research shows that many teenagers get excessively addicted to entertainment media from the first time they gain access to the web. This can cause harmful effects such as the processing of memory, slurred speech, and hearing loss, all just because of their excessive internet usage. Adolescents who have gained this addiction have been known to have problems academically, socially, and even morally. Why waste away your days posing harmful side effects on your body by using entertainment when you can spend your time doing more useful things that aid in your future? As mentioned earlier in Psalm 139:16, time wasted is time lost forever. You cannot put your life on hold. You are not an electronic device yourself. You do not have a pause button that you can push when you do not want to take care of your own responsibilities, such as studying or spending time with family. Pay attention to the more important things in life and choose your time wisely.
Okay, as technological innovations have formed traditional boundaries of communication, entertainment, and learning, technology infuses the lives of adolescents in more ways than ever imaginable. It is clear that technology is a great part in the lives of adolescents. The teens don't need to be limited to technology because of what technology has provided us. The three main points are communication, advancement in technology, and part of life. The communication is greatly used in news as a form to get information. Also, now teens use cell phones and computers to socialize with other people throughout the world. This is how it becomes part of our lives. Because we live in a world where everyone is busy, technology is always there to keep up with us and keep us updated to the latest news. But there are more reasons why technology shouldn't be limited. The program of BYOT, Bring Your Own Technology, at North Forsyth High School has been greatly encouraged to all our students to use their technology, which includes cell phones, internet, and laptops, during school hours. This helps students research answers for schoolwork, interact more with school activities. Another great advantage to this program is that teachers help students use it wisely. The teachers use technology to engage us in schoolwork. If technology were to be limited, that would mean that the program of BYOT would be taken away and be limited to just whiteboards and textbooks all the time. How boring would that sound? Now, do you consider limiting technology? Another reason why technology shouldn't be limited is that literature is becoming very popular in the internet. Many YA authors like Stephanie Myers and Sarah Dessen enjoy taking advantage of technology to build a relationship with their fans. They both have blogs to receive feedback from their readers. This is also a great forum for all authors to promote their latest novels. And if it weren't for the internet, the authors that use blogs would have to communicate their latest through another way. Now that all the main points and the two other reasons have been proved why technology shouldn't be limited, do you still believe the same? Think back to where there was no technology and how the people lived. Do you think you would be able to live that life or not? The people back then would really appreciate this way of life we live. The technology is striving for success and to provide us a better life, not to be restricted and to slow down our generation. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today for our discussion panel on whether or not technology should be limited for teenagers. Thank you very much for watching.